Hi, my name is Elle Billing. I am a chronically ill queer femme, and I'm tired. I'm here this episode and every episode to dig at the roots of our collective fatigue, explore ways to direct our care in compassionate and sustainable ways, and to harness creative expression to heal ourselves and to heal our world. Welcome to Hoorf, Radical Care in a Late Capitalist Hexscape. My guest for this episode is a repeat guest, Andrew Gurza. It's his third time appearing on the podcast. Andrew is an award-winning disability awareness consultant. Andrew uses they and he pronouns and identifies proudly as disabled. Their work has been featured on BBC, CBC, Daily Extra, Gay Times UK, Huffington Post, The Advocate, Everyday Feminism, Mashable, Out.com, and several anthologies. He was the subject of an award-winning National Film Board of Canada documentary, Picture This. Andrew has guested on a number of podcasts and has spoken all over the world on sex, disability, and what it means to be a queer cripple. Andrew is also the host of Disability After Dark, the podcast shining a bright light on disability stories, which won a Canadian Podcast Award in 2021, was a Queer Tea Award nominee, and was chosen as an honoree at the 2020 Webby Awards. The show is available on all platforms. Andrew is the creator of the viral hashtag Disabled People Are Hot and has a new book coming out called Notes from a Queer Cripple. I'm excited to have Andrew on the podcast again for the third time, like I mentioned. He is always a delight and a joy to have behind the microphone. Welcome back to Hoorf, Andrew. No, so before we recorded today, hi, Andrew, by the way. Welcome back to Hoorf. You're one of my favorites.
Thanks for having me on the coolest name podcast ever, Hoorf. I love it so much.
Thank you. I love having you here.
It sounds like hoof. It sounds like a dog puking. It sounds like so many different things.
So my dog got these new treats. My sister's dogs left some treats here, and my dog discovered them and is obsessed with them. But she hides them in this. She has this really furry blanket, and so when they get stuck to the fur, I have to like pull them out, and there's like pieces of fuzz on them. And so then she eats the fuzz, and then she makes the hoorfing sound because it's like stuck in her throat. She's like,
yeah. She's like, I'm gonna die. I gotta get it out.
That wasn't the story I was going to tell you. The story I wanted to tell you, but I wanted to wait till I hit record, is this afternoon. My mom said, "So what are you doing after you eat your soup?" I said, "I'm recording an episode of my podcast." I said, "But I'm not nervous today." Last week I was really nervous about the person I was recording with. I said, "But
I saw the person last week. I saw the graphic on your thing. I was like, that's cool."
Yeah. But the person I recorded with last week we're still editing. It's the one that hasn't come out yet.
Okay, I mean, well, it'll be amazing when it comes out.
Yeah. And so I was like, this one is my friend Andrew. It'll be his third time on the podcast. I really like recording with them. We'll probably, tell dirty stories. And,
diverge everywhere. And
just be completely inappropriate. And my mom looks at me and she goes, "Well, you don't want to alienate your audience."
Well, yes.
And I look at her and I go, "Well, Mom, we write a description of every episode so people know what
they're getting.
And she's like, "What is your podcast about?" This is like my third season. I've been making it for 3 years. And she's worried I'm going to alienate my audience without actually knowing anything about what I do.
Oh, yeah.
Mom, you know nothing about my podcast. Andrew's a great guest. And we have a lot of fun. And
first 2 times he was on, yeah.
I'm like, there's a reason I ask Andrew to come back every season.
I love it. I love that I'm a seasonal guest.
Don't want to alienate your audience.
Oh, dear.
My audience of queer disabled people. Interviewing a queer disabled guest. Okay, Ma, thanks.
Here's me say, what thing can I say right now that would be the most alienating?
We can't even think of anything.
To be free? I don't know.
Free healthcare for everybody, please and thank you.
Free Palestine?
Yeah. Oh no. I mean, I'm on board with that too. Like, I don't think that'll alienate anybody either.
I guess that's not alienation. That's just human rights.
Yeah.
Let's not go down the scare. Let's go back to the fluffy stuff.
Yeah, I'm like, I actually can't think of anything that would alienate my audience because
I know
we have a very it's not a large audience, but they're very dedicated.
Oh no, you know what I've learned doing this now, being an influencer or a podcaster or whatever the hell I do for the last 15 years. The smaller, I like it so much better because it's a dedicated group of people that really give a shit about what you're doing, and it's not, you don't have all the eyes on you. You just have a few eyes on you, which is nice.
And it's the ones who are like, yeah, you're great. And if you do say something or do something that is, out of integrity or out of alignment, they call you in gently and they're like, hey,
let's talk about it.
I don't think you know what you actually said. And you're like, oh gosh, I had no idea. Yeah. Thank you for letting me know. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. And like with the following I have a bigger following and it's exhausting. I don't love that. Like half the time I'm like, ew, I don't want to have a big following. I want to go back to having like 500 people follow me because that was nice. Now I have like thousands of people follow me and I'm afraid to say stuff sometimes because I know that it's going to be scrutinized and read over and looked over.
Like if I spend too much time talking about poop, people are going to get tired of it.
Pretty much. I had somebody the other day who was like, because I turn off my comments on Instagram now because I don't want a big back and forth. I like to say my thing and then run away. Basically, I say what I say and then I hide. So I turn them off for a thing I made, a benign comment about something silly. And somebody wrote, I left the comments on because I wanted to just see what was going to come in. And somebody was like, turning off your comments is cowardly. And I was like, you're proving exactly my point why I turn them off. Like
you're not saying anything productive. Why would I leave them on?
Yeah, like why? You're just going to yell at me. Why do I? So the smaller audiences I like them better.
I have found I save energy on Instagram, one, by not posting at all. And two, I just stopped using hashtags. I found out that they don't make a lick of difference.
They really don't. I was
like, oh, I don't have to do that. I can just not do something.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's just like, oh.
Once you let go of like, the problem with Instagram is like they really win by the numbers and the followers and all of the crap. I wish they would take off the follower count so that nobody could see how many people are following them or are not following them, so that it didn't become this big like popularity contest. Nobody really cares. No, and if they do, like, what are you doing with your life that you care this much about a number?
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people. Well, I mean, for some people it probably does matter because they're getting ad revenue, but
income. Yeah.
Not for us. We're not making any money from it.
Instagram, if you want to sponsor us, hey, we have only a couple thousand followers between us, really, for you guys. Listen, I don't like Meta, I don't like Zuck, but I'll take Zuck's money. So if anybody who is on his team wants to give Elle and I a couple thousand to, subsist and help out of the Oblivion.
Yeah, for those of us who have basically given up on getting any Social Security. Now that what's his butt has infiltrated the government and is stealing it all.
Now that he has 19-year-olds called Big Balls running the show. Didn't you hear about that?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, it's disturbing. It's beyond reprehensible.
I had friends in college who had embarrassing screen names too.
Listen, my screen name in college.
We were also university students. We were not running the country.
Listen, when I was in college, my screen name was, I think it was Fuzzy Grapes, which was like
basically the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Basically for like hairy balls.
Yeah.
So fine. But I was 22 and I thought I was so cool. At 42, that would not be how I would represent myself.
Yeah, no. Just, maybe on this podcast for the sake of conversation.
For the sake of right now, and because I'm super queer and I like kinky shit, yeah, I'm down for that. That's fine. But in my everyday professional life, no.
There's a time and a place.
Yes.
And running the federal government is not it.
And, running the Social Security sector is not. God, when I saw the picture of that kid, I literally was like, What?
He's an embryo.
Yeah, like, pardon me? Is that a Stanley Cup? Or is it not?
No. This is, it's Hydra Peak. I don't know. I got it at TJ Maxx. My mom got it for me.
Oh, nice. That is the most Midwestern thing I've ever heard.
TJ Maxx, yeah.
I got it at TJ Maxx.
TJ Maxx. So at Christmas, my niece got a pack of stickers that were all things with butts.
Amazing.
So she gave me, you can see it, and I'm going to describe it for the listeners. It is a rainbow with a butt.
Oh, yeah.
And then the little clouds also have butts. And she hands it to me, and with like kind of a serious but mischievous look in her eye, she goes, "This is for all the gayness."
How old is she? I love her already. We need to
She's 12. And I was like, I will treasure this. And she goes, "You better."
What a queen. Like, already.
She really is. I mean, she's very much into like butts and stuff. A couple years ago for Christmas, my sister and I gave her like a shiny butt candle from Catone Co. The Catone Candle Company. It's a black, fat, queer-owned company.
Amazing. Send me a link. I want to buy all their things.
I absolutely will. I mean, they have booty candles, but they also have like really gorgeous, like fat body art.
Yeah, well, I need some new art in my place. Actually, I will patronize them immediately.
And so I have their candles all over my bedroom. And whenever my nieces come over, they're like, "We're gonna look for more bodies." They're like, "Because you like boobs." I'm like, I do.
There are two things that I heard when you said that. I heard bodies, and my brain went to true crime because you're in the Midwest. I was like, okay, well.
I don't like true crime. My mom does. She actually is watching Forensic Files, and
Forensic Files, weird truth.
Yeah,
I can fall asleep to Forensic Files without a problem. That guy's voice, the original forensic announcer guy's voice.
Oh, this is like old school. Yeah,
the old school guy. Whenever I go traveling for my job and I get to stay in a hotel, the first thing I look for is, do they have a channel that just displays Forensic Files for like hours? And there was one when I went to I was in Louisiana a couple years ago for the Queer as Folk reboot. They asked me to come down for a few days. So I went and I was very excited about that, but I was more excited to find a hotel that had the channel that played Forensic Files from 10 p.m. until 2 a.m. It was great.
That's what she's doing right now. Yeah. She'll be looking for something else and then be like, "Oh, Forensic Files is on." Mom, Forensic Files is always on.
it is always on. I'm here for it.
And then at some point, at least once a week, she'll look at me and go, "If anything ever happens to me, it was my ex-husband." And I'm like, "Mom, you guys have been divorced for 48 years. I don't think he's gonna do anything to you." She goes,
"How old
if
your
he
mom?
Does." She's 70.
Okay.
And her dementia is getting worse. So she just, after several episodes in a row, she just gets it in her head that if something happens to her, because all of these episodes are about husbands who kill their wives.
Yeah, of course.
I'm like, "Mom, he's not going to do anything to you. But if he does, I'll know where to look."
I'll have
there's nothing I can say.
Yeah, no, of course.
So
this
was a fun chat.
A great preamble.
It is. We do this every time. I love it.
Yeah, we go on for 20 minutes about nothing, and then we get to the real stuff. It's fun.
Yeah. So, how have you received care this week, Andrew?
Well, I received care all day today, from getting up to getting in my chair to showering to having dinner just an hour ago. I've received care daily.
Yeah.
I get it every day.
What was for dinner today?
I'm on a diet right now, so I'm trying to fast for dinner. So I do breakfast and lunch, and then for dinner I don't eat because I'm trying to lower my cholesterol naturally. I'm trying to be my doctor was like, "Your cholesterol is too high," and they were first they were change your whole diet around. I was like, "No." So I talked to my friend who
I like food. Thanks.
Yeah, I was not doing that. So I talked to my friend who was who had lost 100 pounds in a year, and I said, "What do you do?" And he was like, "Well, every couple of days I fast, so I will have breakfast and lunch full of protein and full of all the things you need, and then for dinner, if I want to, I'll have something, and if I don't want to have something, I'll just have one of those meal replacement drinks that has enough protein that you're okay." And I've lost a bit of weight, so I feel good about this. So that's what I had for dinner. I had that and a cup of yogurt, and then that was dinner.
Oh, all right. So, like, is that considered intermittent fasting?
Yeah.
Okay. I can't do that. I have to eat regularly, or I get hangry. Or I get a migraine. So, like, I have a colonoscopy next month, and
it's your first one.
It is. They're doing both ends, actually. They're doing an endoscopy
I've had that.
and a colonoscopy. Just like roast me on a spit.
I've had both ends multiple times.
Yeah, I've had an endoscopy before, but I've never had a colonoscopy. And I'm like, not eating for that long is like, I know I need a colonoscopy, but I also, like, if I don't eat, I get a migraine.
You'll be thankful, because once you take the pill or whatever solution they give you,
I won't want to eat.
You'll just be shitting for hours and hours. You will probably, real talk, you'll probably shit the bed.
Awesome. Thank you.
So get ready for that, because I certainly did. I was on the toilet from when I did mine 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. I took the pill at 4 p.m. on the toilet and started going almost immediately, and then didn't stop going until 2 a.m. And my colonoscopy was at 8 a.m.
I can do that if I eat the wrong food.
But this actually feels good, because it literally is getting everything that's ever been in you out. Like, when you're sick, it doesn't get all of it out. It just gets whatever the worst part is.
Yeah, out. Like oops, I'm accidentally allergic to this now.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll keep that in mind.
Prepare yourself.
I'll sleep in the bathroom.
Yeah, that's actually not a bad idea.
I've done that before.
Or just get diapers. I mean, they're
we have those here.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll be fine.
I don't have anybody to impress.
No.
And even if I did, I don't care.
Why should they? Why should you? Because it's a colonoscopy. Yeah. You're taking care of your gut health, which nobody ever
exactly. And yeah, seriously, gut health is important, and mine has not been healthy for a long time. So
mine neither. Although I cheated yesterday, I had chicken and fries, and I wasn't supposed to, but I was like, you know what? I'm really hungry, so.
But you just gotta eat what you gotta eat.
Sometimes you just gotta break all the rules.
Yeah, I mean, YOLO, right?
But really, though, it is YOLO. It is.
It is. And then the reason that you only live once is because you eat something and end up in the hospital.
And then it hurts you. So yeah, the last time I did that was this summer. I had my 4th bowel obstruction, and when I got there, they were I woke up at 2 a.m. throwing up like bile, and they were like, I got to the hospital, and they were like, oh yeah, this is pretty common, you'll be fine. And I was like, you should not be saying things like it's common, don't worry about it. You should be saying, let's fix it right away.
Yeah, that's scary. So, you wrote a book.
I wrote a book. Yes,
I'm so excited for your book. When does it come out?
April 21st, 2025.
So tell me everything. Tell me everything about the book.
Okay, it's called Notes from a Queer Cripple: How to Cultivate Queer Disabled Joy and Be Hot While Doing It, by me, with my name on it. Cool, amazing. And it's basically, if you took all my tweets about sex and disability and turned them into long form essays, that's what the book is. And so basically, like, I was never expecting to get a book deal, never expected to write a book. I always wanted to, but I was like, I'm gonna wait until somebody approaches me, and then I want to sign a deal. Like, everybody's like, oh, self-published, and I was like, I don't want to do that. No. I want to be the Beyonce here, and I want somebody to approach me and say you should write a book. And so one day I got a tweet that's like, from a publisher that's like, hey, I read your tweets all the time, they're really good. Would you want to sit down and have a chat about a book? And I went, sure, okay. And so I put off a meeting for like 2 weeks because I was way too nervous, and I was like, I don't know. And so finally I sat down with my editor, Alex, and he was like, I love your tweets. I think there's something in disability and sexuality you could write. We're looking for disabled authors to write about sexuality. You're like a key voice here. Would you consider writing a book? And I was like, okay, sure, like, tell me more. And they were like, well, okay, like, write us an outline, and then we'll take it to our team and we'll pitch it. And so I spent like a month writing a proper outline and tried to make it really like academic and really like deep. And they were like, this is very nice, but what if you made it more community based? And so they were like strip out all the academic stuff. That's nice, but just talk to people like you talk in your tweets. And so I really had to like refine it to be this, to be like this guide, but also accessible to a wider audience. And that was hard for me because I'm used to writing like either something really pithy or a really deep academic piece. So to do something in between was hard for me. And also I'm a huge procrastinator. So like for the first year, and they gave me a year to write it. And so the first year I was like, oh no, I can't do this. And then I got COVID in the middle of all that. So I emailed them and said, look, can I have one more year to do it? Because I'm just not, well, I need to be okay. And they were like, all right, sure, take time. So then finally I got my ass into gear. And every day I would just be like, I would look at the blank page and be like, how am I supposed to turn this tweet into like a whole book? What? So then, like, the stories that I tell all the time, that I have told numerous times, just came to me, and finding ways to craft that and turn that into something accessible was really fun.
That's awesome. I'm so excited to read it.
I am excited for it to be out in the world. I've been living with it and thinking about it and worrying about it and stressing about it for like I started this journey in 22, so basically 3 years.
Yep.
So I'm ready for it to just be out. I want to see what it's going to do. I want to see if, I'd love to write a second book. Like I want to see where it's going to take my career now.
Yeah, I think people who aren't in the creative fields, so like art, like visual art, writing, any of those, they don't realize how long it takes us to like incubate these things.
Oh yeah, I've been wanting to write a book like this for a very long time, but I was very naive in how book writing works. I thought, they're going to give me a big advance. I'm going to get all this money. I'm going to be, a star because I've written a book. And everybody was like, no, man, we've written books too. And we're still, doing what we do, cash poor, looking for, opportunities. So it was humbling. And when it get released, it will be humbling to see, like, yes, it will go far in some circles, and in other circles, it won't be touched. And so learning to temper my expectations of like, this won't turn you into this big celebrity you think it's going to turn you into. You just have to keep doing the work. But what I hope is that like this will, because given the state of the world we're in right now, even before Trump got elected again, getting speaking gigs or jobs doing what I do was hard. So my hope is with a book in hand, I can say I'm a published author now. I can now charge a much higher rate than I would normally charge to do a talk to a school or an organization because I have a physical, tangible book that I can promote. And so I'm hopeful that will lead to bigger opportunities. I hope that like another publisher will come along and say, hey, we read this. We'd love to, ask you to write XYZ or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So I hope that it brings me more business and opportunity to thrive.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. Are you going to do an audiobook of it?
They haven't said anything about that. I think they want to just see how it goes, and I haven't approached because I'm like, I just want to see how the actual release goes. And they pretty much, because they're a small publishing house, like they pretty much said, you're doing all of the promo yourself. So like I'm just waiting for them to send me a copy of the book that I can hold in my hand and then take a bunch of pictures and do a bunch of proper press and like push it out as far as I can. Which is, I don't mind doing that, but because I do that already for my day job. But I find that part to be annoying. Like I would love for them to have said, here's 20 grand. What do you want to do to promote the book? Or here's like 30K. What do you want to do to promote the book?
Yeah. That's why Ricki and I are releasing together her book-length poem and my paintings at the same time. And she chose to self-publish because, especially in poetry, she actually did have a book that was more traditionally published, but the publisher did one tweet or like one Instagram post and that was it.
One tweet?
It wasn't a tweet. It was an Instagram post. The publisher did one Instagram post.
Still, that is...
When? And Ricki had to do all the pre-sales came from Ricki hounding people to pre-order because in order to get it onto Amazon, there had to be a certain number of pre-sales through the publisher, and then it would be big enough to get to all of that came from Ricki, and Ricki can't even get back the rights to it. It's tried to buy back the
it's my book is the book that I've written is their book, and I'm fully aware of that, and I'm okay with it because that's the deal you make. But there's this misconception that when you sign a book deal, money's coming in, and that's just not the reality of
you have to sell enough copies to get royalties even.
And so and I don't expect that it will do big numbers. I hope it will, but realistically, I know it'll only probably do a couple thousand if we're lucky. But I also know that it will lead to bigger things. I'm glad that it's out there, and I now I can charge what I've been wanting to charge for my talks for years, which is $8,000 and $10,000, which I always felt like an imposter trying to do before because I didn't have anything. Now that I have a book, I can say I need real money now. Which sounds bougie, but being disabled is fucking expensive.
Yeah, non-disabled people are now experiencing grocery crunch, how expensive groceries
I've known
are.
The price of eggs.
And we've known the price of eggs, right? But you and I have kind of specialized diets. And so we've been dealing with the price of groceries for a minute.
Unless we do what I like to do and then break my diet entirely and just I ate that chicken, now I'll just die forever.
Yeah. So, but chicken brings you joy, which brings me to my next question.
It does.
One part of the subtitle of your book is about queer disabled joy.
Yes.
And last year when I had you on the podcast, we talked about something very heavy. And if anybody wants to go back and listen to that, they can. We talked about medically assisted suicide.
Oh yeah, we did.
So this year it's not quite that heavy.
No,
joy.
Joy is a precious commodity right now.
It is a precious commodity right now, and I think it's something really important to talk about in light of what we're going through right now. So, tell me about queer disabled joy and what sparks joy for you, and how do you use joy as part of your daily life?
I get joy in talking about the hard shit. I like to talk about about disability grief, about disability. I like to put it out there and to tell that story and to tell the side of disability that isn't so. When we talk about disability, especially in media depictions, there's two depictions. There's you're the hero or you're the sad villain, and I'm let's talk about the in between. What if you're stuck in between both of those worlds and you're just a person?
The secret third thing.
Yeah, what about that? And so what brings me joy is talking about the reality for real.
Real life, yeah.
Hiring a sex worker brings me joy. Being able to have my body touch the way that I want to with somebody that I trust and know through sex work brings me joy. But also sometimes just doing nothing brings me joy. Sometimes did we talk last time about my 2:30 naps?
I don't think so. But I also take a 2:00 nap.
Every day around 2 or 2:30, I will finish my lunch. The attendant left. I have no more care. I'm alone finally. And I just tilt my chair back. I put on some kids' TV. And I literally just go to sleep for an hour. And it is so calming because I'm not stuck in a bed that I can't get out of. I can easily tilt my chair back down and go do something. But it's my hour to just be in my body and do whatever I want. And that's kind of nice. And so little moments like that bring me joy.
Yeah, my nap time brings me joy because my dog is excited about it.
Your dog's excited about napping with you?
Yes, she loves nap time. She, if I sign bed, like her eyes, she starts to wiggle and she runs up the stairs and she turns around to look at me and wait for me to walk up the stairs, and her little butt wiggles and her tail's going, and she's like, oh yeah, nap time. And then she runs to my bedroom and she hops up in the bed like, oh yeah, let's nap. And then she waits for me to get like laid down, and then she kind of like tucks me in a little bit, and then she curls up behind my knees, and we take a nap.
I love this for you.
Yes. And if I don't take my nap, if I'm like hyper focused on painting and it gets to be about 4:00 in the afternoon, she starts to whine and like pester me and get really obnoxious. And I'm like, okay, fine, I'll go take a nap.
She's like, what the hell? It's nap
She's
time.
like, excuse me, mother.
You didn't pay attention to the clearly set schedule we have.
Yeah. And that's why plus the fact I love napping, but like my nap time has that joy element added to it too, because
I really
my dog is just always so excited about it.
It is my favorite we're talking about
now you're yawning.
We're talking about napping and I'm totally having a snooze, but to put on a show and just like rest your head and to not think about the ableism, all the stuff that you would worry about as a disabled person, like to just let go feels nice.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
So yeah, all those things bring me joy. And how do I cultivate it? It's hard. And so that's part of why I wrote the book, because I don't fucking know how to cultivate joy in these moments sometimes. And I don't really know how to talk about being queer, disabled, and finding joy all the time, because sometimes that experience is not fucking joyful. It's pretty...
Oh, yeah. Like when we're in pain, it is hard to be joyful.
Yeah, or when somebody you think is really cute rejects you because of ableism, or, And so the book is me talking a lot about those experiences, and the book is very explicit, not explicit, but like it goes into my sex life in a fun, humorous way that I think other books about disability and sexuality haven't yet. And I don't think there's a book like mine out there. Like I remember the publisher one of the readers read the book in a day, and they sent me an email back and said, wow, you've taken a topic that is so scary to talk about and made it like digestible and comfy to read. And they're like, I read it in one sitting and it was great. And I was like, wow, that's
awesome.
So to know, and that brings me joy to know that my experience as a severely disabled person will be out there in the world for for like a younger generation. It was like 2022 trying to find a version of themselves. Like they'll pop into their bookstore and be like, where's the book on my experience? And then there'll be my book. Like knowing that'll bring me joy. That's
so important. When I worked in K-12 education, I had a colleague who was I worked at a special school. It was a school for the deaf and the blind. And we also had severely disabled students who had multiple disabilities, who were part of our student body. And one of my colleagues at one point when we were discussing, first off, our health teacher one year just didn't teach the sex ed unit.
Just didn't?
He just didn't teach it. He skipped it.
Okay.
And we had kids who thought, we had a student who thought she couldn't get pregnant if she had sex standing up. Oh. And I was like, oh my God.
Okay.
Yeah. Among other erroneous misconceptions that the students had about sex and sexuality. I had a student ask me in class one time what boy bisexuals were called. And I'm like, they're bisexual. And she goes, no, but the boy ones.
The Chad.
And I'm like, no, it's the same thing.
Or Jeremy or Josh.
Yeah. But yeah, they have, but I mean, the label is the same.
Still, it's Chad.
Yeah.
if you are really wondering, if you want to parse it out, it's Chad. Josh too, for sure Josh. Sometimes Joshua if you want to be fancy, but
I think I knew a bisexual Joshua.
I know a few of them actually, so yeah.
So, and I was like, oh no, it's bisexual. And she's like, no, but the boy ones. It was like, oh, okay.
Oh, you sweet summer child.
But I had a colleague who her approach to sex ed was just to scare kids away from having sex.
That doesn't work.
And if she made the comment, well, it was too late for some of them, but she was hoping we could get to some of the other kids before they started having sex. I'm like, that's not a healthy approach. Like,
no.
And something I noticed about working with kids with varying degrees of disability is just this, and you've probably experienced this too. And one of the reasons why your book is so important is that people with, I think, more severe disabilities get put, again, there's like we're either this or we're this, and most people are actually in the middle, is that people are either hypersexualized and treated as like not in control of their urges.
Yeah.
Or they're desexualized completely and treated as like non-sexual entities.
I mean, we see that a lot with, or we don't see it a lot, but it's perceived a lot with people with Down syndrome.
Yes.
Are perceived as super hypersexual. And I remember being...
Or completely asexual.
Yeah.
Like to the point of being a non-sexual entity. Not asexual as like the orientation, but like as being a non-sexual entity. Like...
Yeah.
Like they're incapable of understanding or being part of that world.
And that's why we have 31 states that still allow legal sterilization of disabled people. Right. And a lot of them have intellectual disability, and that's shameful.
Right. And really, as we know, as queer people, sexuality is a spectrum, and most people fall somewhere in the middle.
Most people are like on the aspect spectrum somewhere.
Well, I mean, not even on the aspect spectrum, but like just disabled. I mean, sexuality is a spectrum as a very general statement. So it would make sense that like most disabled people are also somewhere on a spectrum of sexuality. Like we're not hypersexual and we're not non-sexual entities the way people very ableistly categorize disabled people.
I'm very binary too. Like that's such a binary of like one or the other.
It is. And fuck binaries.
Sometimes I like fucking binaries though. It can be real fun.
Okay, but the other way.
I like a good binary though. Sometimes it's really
enjoyable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But you know what I mean.
I got you.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm really glad you wrote the book.
I'm also really glad I wrote it because it's out now and it's cool to like. It was cool to get emails from the editor that was like, okay, we're done now. Like you're finished. You wrote it's in. It's like prep for production. Like that was cool.
That is cool.
And I remember sending the first chapter off to the editor, being so afraid of what he was going to think because I really like we had talked for hours and hours, and I valued his opinion so much. And he was the one who sought me out and like found me on Twitter and was like, "Please write a book." And so I was so worried he would hate it. And his first email back to me was, "This is why I knew you should write the book." And I was like, "Oh wow!" It made me feel so confident to keep going. And like, it's not a long book. It's only 142 pages. So it's a quick read. But it took like a year and a bit to.
Oh yeah, this is nothing about the process getting there.
Oh no, the process took forever.
So I'm going to, I have one more question.
I'm ready.
Okay. What is one true thing that you learned from writing your book?
That sometimes the stories aren't always as you remember them, and you have to sit with that sometimes. There are stories in the book that were really hard for me to write, and once I put them on paper, I could let them go.
Ooh.
You want me to elaborate on that more?
Yeah, if you would.
Your face is saying, "Tell me more."
No, I was just like, I was sitting with that actually for just a second, like, oh yeah. But yes, I would love it if you could elaborate on that.
I mean, there's just a lot of stuff in there, like my first time that I talk about stories that I've told over and over and over again, and I probably will continue to tell over and over and over again. But now that it's on the page, I don't have to constantly bring it up. I can say, read my book on page 22. I talk about this story.
It has some permanence to it.
Yeah, and I mean, it also the thing I learned is that I don't always want to write about sex and disability and queerness and disability. Like, there's a huge part of me now that I've written the book that wants to do another book on severely disabled people. Period. The end. And write a whole different kind of book about that experience that isn't just. This book was very focused in the narrative what they wanted. They wanted me to speak solely about queerness and disability, and that was the brief, and I did that. Mm-hmm. Now I'd like for a bigger publisher to say, hey, you want to write what does being severely disabled mean? Tell me that. Mm-hmm. Write a whole bunch of stories, or go find stories from other people who are severely disabled and put that in a book. Mm-hmm. Like, I'd love to do something bigger, and a bit more outside of myself, and a bit more like academic, if that makes sense. I'd like to do something a bit deeper than the Andrew Gurza story, because I feel like I've been as proud as I am of the book, and I'm so excited for it, but I've also been telling these stories in my job for 15 years. So they don't feel fresh to me, and that was one of the things that I found that I struggled doing when I was writing it. How do I make these stories fun again? Like, how do I make these stories that I've told a million times on like so many different platforms? How do I make them like fresh? And that was a challenge.
Yeah. And it doesn't need to just be the Andrew Gurza story anymore. Now it can be, and friends.
Yeah. Like, now that part's out, there's other parts of my identity like that I want to explore. And I've started using severely disabled in the past year and a half. And a lot of disabled people don't like when I use that term. I get pushback a lot for that terminology. I've lost disabled friends because I've used that term for myself. And so I'd love to explore the tension that brings up in people, and why, and what does that mean when you live that experience, and why do you do it? And so I don't know if there's a book there, but I feel like there could be.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting and important conversation. I haven't been part of that conversation with you, but I have seen that and similar conversations around kind of the disability social media world.
Well, I mean, and that's
about like functioning labels and severity labels and things like that. And
yeah, and like that's part of why I turn off all the comments, because I don't want to spend my afternoon fighting about semantics with you. I think we have bigger stuff to worry about, and the bigger stuff we have to worry about right now is like Medicaid being taken away, Medicare being taken away, SSI being gutted. Like, we have bigger things to worry about.
Disabled Black kids being taken away from their families and sent to the education farms. Like, stuff we thought was done 100 years ago.
Yeah, like autistic people being put onto a farm to cure their like, what? No.
Anti-vaxxers shouldn't be in charge of healthcare.
But to move it away from all that for a minute, so very excited about the book. If you go on Amazon right now, you can pre-order it. So,
and what was the title again?
Notes from a Queer Cripple: How to Cultivate Queer Disabled Joy and Be Hot While Doing It, by me, Andrew Gurza. And if you're looking for the title and you can't find it, it's blue and pink is the cover with a bunch of balloons for the Queer Cripple part of the title, and then like
it's a great cover.
I'll
link it in the show notes.
I was really impressed with the cover. I had no hand in the cover. They just showed me that, and I was like, okay, great, yep, good.
Yeah. So I will link that. I will link your socials. It was good to talk to you again.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah. Thanks for being here. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Hoorf. To get the complete show notes and all the links mentioned on today's episode, or to get a full transcript of the episode, visit hoorfpodcast.com. Join the blessed herd of St. Winkus. By signing up for our newsletter, you can get Hoorf episodes delivered directly to your inbox. What's more, you get invitations to our monthly Coffee and Biscuits Chat, where you get to hang out with Ricki and Elle, talk about the show, and connect on the topics that mean the most to you. You can sign up for that at hoorfpodcast.com. If you become a patron for only $3 a month, you can support the creation of this podcast, help pay my editor, and join a community of caregivers out here just doing our best. Thank you again for joining me, Elle Billing, the chronically ill queer femme who is very tired, on this episode of Hoorf. Until next time, be excellent to each other. Hoorf is hosted by Elle Billing at Ellen Wink. Audio editing by Ricky Cummings at Ricky Poo. Music composed by Ricky Cummings. Hoorf is a production of Ellen Wink Art Studio LLC, all rights reserved. Hoorf can be found on all social media platforms at Hoorf Podcast, at HOORF Podcast.
That doesn't work.